Okay, Jessica, what do we get?
Alrighty, we'll start today's meeting with the Department of Head updates. Tim Brown.
Spring cleanup's all finished. Next week, we're gonna get the line painting, striping in. And hopefully after today, we're gonna move into some construction work. That should keep us busy for the rest of the summer, and maybe winter and next year and. That's it.
What's that construction work, Tim?
Hopefully getting ready for the paving and finishing the paving process.
I'd like to mention that the kiosk installation will probably be a week and a half or so, so I'll have to follow up with you.
Where's that going?
One of them will go, just beyond the gate, at Town Forest, and then the other one's on the other side where they've done the work, so I need to walk it.
When you say done the work in the forest itself?
On the trails.
On the trails, yeah.
Well, thank you. Tim Village.
We clean the intake, like to do it twice a year, but it seems like we've been doing it 3 times a year. Rain doesn't help us out at all, but that's done. We went through another round of water meter review. It's all done, bills and out. All that's done. Working on the lead service line thing with Kim. That's been doing a really good job. Hopefully, probably by the end of this week, we'll be ready to do a mailing to the homeowners who are considered unknowns or that have galvanized, so we can do an appointment, because we still want to visit the homeowners that had a galvanized line in 1996. They might have changed their line since then, so hopefully we can get that, so the customer side are all considered knowns. And even if they have galvanized on their end, it's their responsibility to place theirs, but we still have to do a customer notification, just letting them know that they have lead or galvanized on their end. And then we're gonna move into the townhome side. So actually, we've gotten a lot done over the last month, and then Tim said we got a bunch of construction projects that we got to do on the water and sewer side. Yes, before I say we're gonna have a hard time getting them done, we got to start. So the list gets longer.
She's capturing all that information on a database from Hazen and her.
We're kind of fluffing up the Hazen more. She actually went through all 960 something initial water meter installation cards and found quite a few of them that Hazen classified as unknown and known. And a lot of that was due to the 911 address changes. So for instance, like the main pump station at one time was 58 feet, now it's 60 feet. So that was classified as an unknown, but yet we had the documentation to support it. Then another real quick circumstances, Old Park and Prospect, same street, but Hazen had it listed as, so it doubled the unknowns for that street. So there was quite a few circumstances like that. And then they are allowing us to do these VIC forms where the operator can just say, yes, I know them lines are copper, I saw them, I put them in. And I bet we had 150 and 200 that I could honestly say were copper. But they're still going to make us verify 20% of the, but it's still better than doing full. So, and I'm hoping they change their mind as this gets going, because they made a lot of changes in this process since it started. So but it's we'll get it done. But she's done a great help. Very, very productive. So works out well.
Is there anything you need from us?
blank check eventually, you know?
Smells-
We're not up to that part yet, but I mean, all this work too is gonna help us to kind of shrink down the initial cost that they attached to this, which was what, $8 million or something? You know, because they looked at it as, here's your worst case scenario, and here's how much it's gonna cost to fix it. And we're looking at it like, well, let's narrow down this list. And so we can ask and borrow less money.
Into the real case scenario.
Right, yeah, because it's gonna be kind of, I mean, we are gonna have circumstances where we're gonna think a line is galvanized, and we're gonna dig it up and it's caught, or vice versa, so we are, but it's rather, we're better off doing it that way than just flat out doing them all. So, yeah, it'll be all right. Oh, hitting enough?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Robin,
Piggybacking off that, the lead service line grant, funding open, so I looked at that. With these new numbers, we're going to need to develop, a budget and itemize it so that we can submit, and this is first come, first served money, so sooner the better. Other opportunities, I just mentioned to Tim that on the 15th is the Source Water Protection Conference in Pembroke. That, we'll be talking about grants there, not only for lead service lines, PFAS, which really don't affect us, but the source water protection itself, we've always kind of wondered what we could do to protect the intake. And after the damage that happened this year, this might be an opportunity for one or both of us to go there and figure out something. I will be gone on Thursday and Friday to the New Hampshire GFOA, do the accounting for the town. So, having said that, everyone has been getting paid the past couple weeks. So, it was an upstart, and I'm just gonna learn how to do more of the fund accounting piece of it. Permitting status quo. We'll need to do a scope meeting on, Causeway. Because, we're gonna be doing the agreements, so we should be sitting down with Paul and getting this going. Because I'm pretty sure he'd want to break ground June-ish.
thank you for picking up all the extra duties in finance, and Jared, ditto to you too.
Thank you. Moving on for our appointments this evening, we have Jeff McIver with Consolidated Communications and City.
Is it okay? First of all, thank you very much for including this in your agenda again. Had a great overview as well. Last time we were here, it was in November. I shared the good news that we were able to move up the start date. We started in December. Our construction built out. Some more great news. We have completed each with the state for the 395 Yankton Valley addresses. We stood up all the fiber distribution hubs and were able to complete all the aerial work to get onto those addresses. Just another update I want to provide. We do have an additional, we have some additional digging work to do. We have to wait until April to really break some ground with that. It's going to take us roughly 4 to 8 more weeks for us to complete that portion of it. None of the grant addresses were attached to that, but I do have Greg here with me this evening that can also help answer any questions that anyone might have as far as the construction or next steps too. So
I've got a couple like to address. Can you explain process of how you determine where you went with the fiber and where you didn't go?
Very good.
Okay.
All right, so, every town, is designed, designed around, we call it one. Every town has a central office, and when the stuff from the bike goes out and hits the different, address. And we call them EUL, end user location. Because the wire segments do not match the census block or town boundary, at times, like we built Whitefield, and it hit some of the Lancaster address. And some of those outlets were out of the wire. So, your question was, how do we go about determining what we're doing? Consolidated communications, we have a planning department. And basically what that planning department does is they do a lot of research into grant funding, whether it be RDOF or funding that we've gotten here. And then we work to build to that funding and then augment those funds with our own funds, be able to get as many addresses as possibly covered during those bills. So over the last 5 years, I guess 6 years, my job has been in building all the Fidium across all of New England. And I think we've spent somewhere in the neighborhood of about $700–800 million building out Fidium. And of our own money, but we use as much grant money as possible to get it done, bang for cost. And there's a lot of things that go into that behind the scenes. Do the addresses have multiple providers? They're maybe not as advantageous to build because our take rate won't be as high. Let's be factual that this is a business and they try to make as much money as they can because at the end of the day, they want to sell as many customers. So that's what goes into how we get to those addresses. That makes sense.
Okay, my next question is can you explain to me why Bridge Street is not fully fibered?
Well, I can't explain why a particular Bridge Street, okay, but I can tell you that there were pieces of the Lancaster wire that are on a future build that didn't get built because they didn't have any grant addresses on them, and we built everything to grant addresses. So we didn't build entirely by wire in order to build like the entirety of the Whitefield wire. That makes sense.
So like also South Lancaster Road is not fibered. In Bridge Street, and that's brought to my attention possibly Kilkenny Street didn't get it. And that's right in the middle of town.
So probably those, and I would have to, I mean, without, that's not, you have my email address, right? Email Ron, Ron to get a hold of me and I can look them up. Because I do have, it seems to me, without, you're asking me about the specific address.
I'm getting this from the pump,
Right, so, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that those addresses weren't included, or that they weren't. I need to look into that, some people sometimes, when my address wasn't included, but they're used to looking at the terminal outside and seeing everything. Oh, further away from the top. They're not like directly in front of the house, they might get 1,000 feet away. So without looking at the address specific, and I can,
So we can
email them to me, I'll get right back.
we can follow up on that. Sure.
I also want to just, mention that the first round included underserved and unserved, right? And then the BMGI was just unserved. So if there was any provider that was an alternative available to an address that would make it underserved and not eligible to be a grant location. Right?
That is correct.
Okay.
So without knowing, I can dig into the address. And I will say this, and I don't have a crystal ball to tell you that the rest of Lancaster is going to be built
next year or the year after that. But I will tell you that Consolidated is, I mean, their goal is network transformation. We want to get entirely out of that copper network and shut down the 5E switch that's in the CO that's running. The electric bills that Consolidated pays across Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, if you add Eversource, Central Maine Power, or Green Mountain Power, we are the number one power consumer for those companies. Number one. And our goal is to not be one. And so the way we're going to do that is to shut down some of that copper network and put people on this new infrastructure. That is the goal. Follow up with it. Okay. I'll look through it.
Or,
Thank you.
And we're happening then. Rob, yep, as far as the rest of construction, and also like Greg said, into their buildings.
And we appreciate it.
You know,
All right, next up on the agenda, thank you guys.
thank you.
We have Linda Hutchins with the Town Band, Matt Tramer from the Farmers Market, and Liz Strella with Walking in the Park regarding cooking in the parks.
didn't matter, I missed, didn't communicate well with you, and I actually went a little bit too long. So, okay.
So,
I'll move forward because I can't hear anything in that back row. Well, I can't hear in the front either. When I got the notification about the searching of the dark park, was extremely concerned for a lot of different things. First of all, I would like to ask you what reasons were behind doing this parking fee.
I'm happy to speak towards that. So this was an administrative decision after hearing, after understanding the work that we just did with the drainage, with the library and related to the sewer pipe that's underneath Centennial Park. That pipe is probably from 1970-ish, so that's probably a 50-year-old pipe underground. And our insurance, Primex does not cover any type of underground pipe that we know. And they would not be able to cover any damage to that pipe if there was any type of damage due to parking. The cost, or if the town allowed people to park there, the vehicle owners would not be liable for the damage, and any cost to repair that damage would be borne by the town. So, you know, right now we've looked at this huge rate increase for our water and wastewater things. We understand that we have infrastructure issues. And unfortunately, I'm in a role where I have to try and mitigate exposures. And one way to do that, unfortunately, you know, I don't want to be the one to say, hey, don't park here, but we really can't afford to do any type of damage to this infrastructure.
So the infrastructure you're talking about is a drainage ditch and the sewer that comes out of the library, which is just almost to the library, way on that side of the park.
So from my understanding, that line ties into most of downtown. So if that was disrupted, that would be a major disruption to community.
And as far as my understanding, when we hit the drainage problem, that is the direct line, right out to the street. Is that correct, Tim?
Well, there's a bunch of sewer lines and drainage lines over here.
All over the park?
Park.
As far as the one that I would speak to, banned. There has been a tradition in this town since before we moved here, we've been here for 7 years, of a band concert on Wednesday night. And the people come, they pull in, you know, onto the edge. So they can hear the band, look down the window, you don't applaud. And that's a long-standing tradition. The, people who are currently, playing in our band are pretty much volunteers. We pay them a teeny little bit per concert, less than $5. And a lot of them have mobility issues as far as parking further away, plugging their instruments in, they come into the church, plug the chairs out or whatever, so further away would be an extreme handicap for them and probably eliminate a lot of people who are doing this on a pretty much volunteer basis for, happy in town. I have concern for the Friday night fund, which is, an ancient source of income for things in this town. It's partially sponsoring. And certainly is interested in curtailing the exposure of that money. So it's there for the enjoyment of people in town, and then we're limiting. Also, it would eliminate probably the, small fest that the Lancaster Renaissance does. We don't do a lot of parking on the park, as far as cars in the center, but again, it's working on that edge by School Street. It would also impact the use by the Congregational Church. We don't have much parking anyway, we utilize what we have. We took a piece of the backyard, created, I think it's 8 spaces back there that we could, to keep people on the pavement and not on the park side. If there's a large event, funeral, or something going on, the tendency is to park and just pull over, park a car onto the edge. That's a concern. It also concerns me, and I know there's a lot of people here to speak to the farmer's market, but that is a large draw for people into this town. People, when you think of a town, you tend to think of what is there that goes on, what can I go to, what can I attend? A lot of what happens in Lancaster happens around there. So the parking, if you eliminate what can happen on the park, there's not all that much commercial without walking further distances to get to it. That is a huge concern for me. I think the park is there for people's use. I heard, the wonderful Lancaster grapevine that Rena was doing. One of them was that people don't like to see the grass compacted. But I don't think it was built to be a golf green. And I don't think it was built to be a memorial park, although we have several memorials on it. I don't think that was its primary use. It's here, there, for the people of town to use as a resource and as an asset to Lancaster. And I think your curtailing parking around it is not a good idea. It's been there for however many years that the use of it has happened, and it hasn't impacted the trees or the infrastructure at this point at all. And I think it's a mistake you have all of the people who are a lot of volunteers in this town, a lot of volunteers, people, a lot of things going in Lancaster. And I think it's almost like a kick in the teeth to not allow them public space to volunteer for the betterment of this community.
I'm probably gonna have unpopular position here tonight, and I really don't care.
They went to band concerts there when Homer was 5, 6 years old. And there'd be 100 people, 150 people there. And there wasn't half the parking around that park that there is now. And guess what? Nobody parked on the grass. Parked around the edge, they parked on Main Street, they come parking. The problem is, we've started to allow people to park on the grass. Now, it's not only during the farmer's market that people park on the grass. My office is now right outside the park. And I'm gonna tell you, 5 days during the work week, there's people parking on the grass. I have gone out from the office and said, get your car off the grass. Why? They do it during farmer's market. We used to have so many events, nobody parked on the grass because that was respecting the park. It's a park, people's enjoyment, you're correct. And with all due respect, that's what it's for. But for some reason, now in 40 years, oh, we've got to park on the grass. We can't. Nobody's saying people setting up can't park on the outside of that park and take their stuff in and set up and then move over. We've got more parking there now with the court parking lots and stuff than there's ever been. It's very frustrating to sit in the registry of deeds office and watch people park on, well, put the shade underneath this tree. It's a park. Yes, it is also a memorial park. There's memorials to veterans in that park. And hopefully there will be more eventually. I want to know any other town in the Northland that allows people to park in the middle of their parks. So, well, good for them. I'm gonna tell you, like I said, I know my position's not gonna be popular, but I think it's the correct one. You pull up, you park along the edge, you move your stuff into the park, and then you go and you park in parking places. That's what they used to do when I was a kid. And there was more people there during band concerts and events happening at the park than there is now. But all of a sudden, everyone's gonna park in the park, and park on the grass. I can't walk. I just don't buy that argument. Because once you start allowing parking for any event on the park, people are gonna park there all week long, and they do it now. All we are asking you to do, pull up, pull along the side, set up what you need to set, and then go find a parking spot. Don't park on the grass. Do you allow people to park on your lawn? On a regular basis, you allow people to park on your lawn.
But what? Without a doubt, why not?
You say you would, but do you? Do you?
Why?
Yeah.
In high school, they were parking on that park. They would park in the park.
I'm gonna tell you, I haven't seen that except for the last maybe 10 years. People did not park on that park. And if the church doesn't have enough,
And we're not parking in the middle of the park. We're on the very edge of the park.
if you was parking on the edge of the park, it wouldn't be a problem.
That's where we're
That
parking.
is not what's happening. That is not what's happening.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. No, it's not.
Parking in the middle.
Every farmer's market for 7 years. And
That is
the
not
grass
what's happening.
didn't.
There's people at
really
the farmer's market that's parking right behind their booth.
So can I quickly ask for some clarification on what So is the new policy of no parking on the grass in application to the farmer's market? Am I, for example, allowed to drive and unload my stuff at my site and then go park somewhere else?
No, park at the edge of the park, take your stuff, set your stuff up, and then. Well,
So.
I just don't understand how 20, 30 years ago, when we had events, we had barbecues and everything else in the park, that people were able to do it. And now everyone's saying, oh my God, I on the street, and take my stuff. Sorry, I don't buy it.
I guess what I'm wondering is if this restriction is, as you were saying before, structural, or if because of what we're saying now, it seems like more of an aesthetic thing.
It's a combination. You've got infrastructure, you've got people driving on the grass 7 days a week, killing the grass, mowing. Again, shake your head no, man, I'm there 5 days a week during the week, and I drive by the farmer's market every weekend. Farmer's market is fantastic. It draws a lot of people here.
Do you want to stop it?
No, I don't want to stop it. Find a parking spot in the street like they used to do. It's not that difficult.
Make it clear where it parks and make lines or something and have, signage.
There's less parking in that area now than there has been in the last 15 years. You've got all the parking by the courthouse. You get. It's just never there. Hold up. Matt, would you like to say something, please?
You want me to sit or stand?
Yeah, that doesn't matter. It's okay.
This is the 28th year of the farmers market. So we've been there 27 years, considerably longer than 10. I'm going to divulge into or evolve into talking about infrastructure for only 1 second. I was told problem with the library was the water froze inside the drainage container. Water came down, didn't get out from the system. Therefore, it infiltrated the library. I would point out nobody could park over that drain simply because nobody would be silly enough to drive down into it. Regarding the reason for people parking in the park, in farmers market, I have a note from somebody that's 76 years old, so I can't come to the market anymore if I can't park whatever it is. Now, literally, that's very. Bridget is a farmer. In prime season during June or July, July or August. Then her husband is there. They have a van that's full of fruit and vegetables. I don't know how much that weighs, but he brings out 10 or 20 bushel boxes. We average that, say 20 pounds. You can see how quickly that adds up. I think we've been respectful to the park. I know last year I came to 2 or 3 farmers market meetings and we were discussing the trees that died. I only heard 2 people speak against having us in the park. And there were only 2. I mean, tonight there's many more people here than 2. I understand that infrastructure is a problem, but personally, I'm the president of the market and the chairman of the market. I'm surprised to find that that has occurred because of one incident, which at least to my knowledge, and I was near the beginning occurred, wasn't a problem with the pipe, it was a problem with water freezing, not allowing water to drain in the infrastructure. Library, my understanding that falls. I think the market, I think the town being, I think walking in the park community. And certainly we do not want, speaking for the farmers market, to be destroying infrastructure. But I do think that there are not many opportunities in town for community. And the reason I'm president, is the chairperson of the market, kind of an oddity. I used to walk down from Bunker Hill to the farmers market and spend an hour or 2 there till my wife could drive off, based on community. I've never been a vendor. I do a heck of a lot of volunteer work for it, don't make any money. I will say
that at least 3 or 4 merchants downtown are concerned, and to quote one of them, they don't understand why you're trying to drive consumers away from your downtown area. We're certainly willing to work with you and try to do what we can do. For instance, Annie's Gourmet Coffee purchased a trailer over the winter. The farmer's market is probably only 10 or 20% of her business, but if she can't park the trailer in the market, she cannot participate in the market, excuse me, in the park. We had a meat vendor for the first time, I think, in, I'm gonna guess 15 years, somebody that will be harvesting different types of animal pulp and they grow. And I think all of you know that that weighs a lot. We have another vendor that wants to have a trailer that sells different stuff. These trailers are lightweight. We're not bringing in things that weigh, for instance, I don't think, although I know some of the cars weigh as much as the sidewalk plow that is through the parking for you regular basis in the winter. The other problem, at least for me, from the management perspective, is that we receive this so late. We have farmers who have started crops who are planning to sell them at the farmers market. Again, going back to yes, if they're forced to, they'll physically have to take and move that in. But now we're talking about if you take something where they just park and they drop it and unload it versus the road, at least to a couple of them, is 20, 30 feet, 30 yards away. Makes it difficult. And can we work around that? We probably can to a certain degree, but it's going to lessen the market. And I do think, aside from the infrastructure, having that as a community hub is a good thing to do. And I question, this is just me as an individual, that if the town says during walking the park, during the band concert, during the farmers market, you allow the park there, and at the times you're not, and you enforce it, it's like any other problem. Either we can choose to enforce it and stop the problem, or we just allow it and we have the problem Mr. Whitehouse describing. And I'm sensitive to the fact that it is a park. I had the good fortune when I used to work. When I was working, I got to go to Washington, D.C. 4 or 5 times to work at PBS. And one of the things that I was interested in there was the fact when you looked at anything on the Washington Mall television, it looked beautiful. But it turns out when you walk there in the summer, because it's so hot, grass is brown, and basically you're walking in dirt the whole time. Other people want to speak, so I should stop. Thank you. Your time.
Yep. I have a couple things I wanted to say. One, to explain what brought to the park, how we use the park with vehicles. It's fairly minimal. One is musicians drive up and drop their gear off, and yes, they could carry it, but it is a burden. I mean, amplifiers, speakers, drums, tubas, all kinds of heavy instruments. So that would make it harder for them, make people maybe not want to come. We do occasionally have food vendors. We're not going to this summer for the Friday night concerts, but we will. We're doing the Saturday afternoon event, and we're hoping to have some food vendors, which many of them are food trucks or food trailers. They wouldn't be able to come. And then the other is parking, as Linda was describing, goes in partly onto the grass. And I think that is very convenient. I mean, yes, we should just cater to convenience, but I think a lot of people wouldn't come if they had to walk further away. And as with the ambient, people do sit in their cars and listen to the music as well. They can't do that from others elsewhere. I just also wanted to say how important having a town common that there are events on is. Anything that would drive those events away would really be really sad. And unproductive for the town. It brings people together, local commerce and then arts and culture and just the whole community coming together. So I think it's really important. And there's not a lot of other parks that have such a gem as Centennial Park. Middleton, their farmers markets across the river from private land. St. Jay's is on a parking lot, pretty ugly art park. It's so sad to see these events not able to because of this rule. We could continue, but I think would also be lessened. And it said a couple questions. One was what the infrastructure was, which was answered. Around that was, is there a way to maintain and avoid parking or driving on those areas? Because that was the reason we were given. It wasn't that it's ugly parking in the park or anything like that. It's an infrastructure. And then the other question was told about parking at the courthouse. It's a logistical thing, but it says no parking there except for courthouse business. And I know we're after hours and on the weekend, but I don't want to break the county rules, so just want to be clear on that.
I know this, whenever now farmers market, I just told them that we weren't to send vendors and anybody for the
And very much, I do feel from you, what I understand during the weekends and stuff.
Sign doesn't say that.
No, right.
It's not clear.
Go ahead.
Bert Hammond and, Mark Fallon, Jerry Tobin, representative musicians, and, we were here last year and made a presentation. The issue at the time was the state of the trees and were they being impacted by the parking. So we did a study of that, and I won't go into all the details. I gave copies to the select board, the town manager, and the press. So, but what I thought was interesting from the discussion tonight, that Matt, you described the one incident of a frozen area. So my curiosity is if that's the only in recent times problems with drainage and infrastructure, and it seems like we're using the paradigm of the plural of the word anecdote as data. And is there other data to support the fact that there's irreversible and unrepairable damage being done to the area of Centennial Park through parking? And also, if I may ask another clarification related to the court parking is, Mr. Wright, you suggested that it would be possible to park on the edge. I presume that means School Street, but if I'm not mistaken, School Street is a fire lane. And so I don't believe that it would be in accordance with the fire laws to encourage people by public policy to have them park on, even if it's for a short time, on a fire lane.
I'm gonna stop you on that one. I was part of it for years. And supposedly we're only talking about cars nosing in, so they're 3/4 of the car is out in the street. So the car parked almost parallel to the street is not blocking it as much as a car nosed into the. The problem is they're not just nosing into the park, they are parking on the park. Right. So let's clarify that.
To avoid the fire lane.
So I can tell you if they parallel park along the outside edge of that, fire truck can make it in there.
And that would give a two-rod right of way either side of the center line.
I'm not gonna tell you how many rods
In the regulation.
I have not taken the measurement.
Oh, okay. I just asking a question. We also did a study of the trees, in particular in the grass in the park. over a 2-year period in 2023 and 2024, we looked at tip necrosis and chlorotic models, 2 indicators of irreversible damage to the trees and the grass. We did not find either of those represented. So it seems as if the trees are healthy and the grass is healthy. Perhaps there's a reason, though, as far as the infrastructure, to limit the gross weight of vehicles that are allowed to park in the park rather than simply eliminating all vehicles from the park. Because depending on the size of the vehicle, the soil has the ability to either sustain compacting from the car driving on it or not sustain it. It seems so far, since we don't see a lot of rocks, that soil is sustaining the lightweight private vehicles that are. So our feeling is the vegetation's healthy. That's our study. That's the thing that I gave you. And then there's some physics involved in terms of compression and then the regulations of where are the appropriate or legal places that anyone using the park may use. Thank you.
Any others that want to speak? Go ahead.
The gentleman behind me asked a question about the infrastructure and mapping of the infrastructure that hasn't been answered. I'd like to hear the answer to that. And also, I'd like to hear from you, Shane, and from Kathy Jean about your feelings on this.
So the infrastructure is between the sidewalk and the sidewalk to the gazebo and the sidewalk to Weeks Library. It then jumps in close to the library, goes back out likely to where the indent is with the drain, and then out towards courthouse.
Want me to go first? All right, so I was proud of this last year with the park, with the trees. And thank you for doing that study, because we were told that there was a lot of compaction going on that was contributed to the death of trees, but obviously your study shows something different. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do agree with Matt when he said that this is awful late coming. He's putting this out to you guys now, just close to your season, I'll call it. I would feel that we should do things like we have done in the past right now for this year. And that Matt and myself or somebody else from the board and the town manager or a group of you work together through the summer before next year and come up with a plan that mitigates the concern. I do not want the farmer's market to leave. I do not want the band concert to leave. It's very, very important to the town to have that in agree. Been there forever. All right. So
This may elicit tears. Okay. Some of my fondest memories growing up here was leaving Colonel Town Pool to go to the band concert. It was the one night a week I got to stay up late as a kid. And it was such a treat to come across Colonel Town Fields and go hang with my friends by the Fox and listen to the music and get the drinking fountain and then walk home in a safe time. I love Market. I love rocking in the park. I love the band concerts and the music. And I love the honking of the horns and the tradition that Centennial Park is. A year ago, wasn't pretty sitting at this desk. I'm just gonna say, this wasn't pretty because of trees. Listen, I'll go back to a year ago, and I want to thank everybody here tonight for the respectful manner in which everyone has been. Bless you all. Because a year ago you weren't here, maybe a couple of you. It was not respectful a year ago. We took some hits. And the town, I think we are trying to get our arms around a better job of our parks. We have not done a good job. We're trying to do that. We have we thought maybe we could do the gravel this year and kind of solve this problem. Budget won't allow for it. And we're trying to find that compromise and that balance. I would never want those events to leave Centennial Park. It brings tears to my eyes thinking that. And I'm so glad that the tone tonight was a tone of compromise, not a tone of threat. We will leave, we'll pack up and go to another sandbox. Thank you for not saying that. Thank you for trying to make this work. It is short notice, and I'd be more than glad to serve in some capacity to help figure this out for 2026. I do feel like we've got to figure out something. I don't know what it is. Why the infrastructure came up now is because we just put in $25,000. We take that seriously because it's all of your taxpayer dollars. So why maybe never broke before, it did just now. Someone said to me last year, we shouldn't take down any trees that are dead because no limb has killed somebody yet. Okay. Our job is a lot of time liability and making sure there's safety. And that means not only for the people, but for the park, and trying to balance all of that. While I don't know how many of you were at the town meeting, it's a tough town meeting this year. We have limited resources and we're trying to figure it out. And again, I appreciate the tone tonight. We have a not always a friendly tone in news in other communities across our country. We bless you for being my neighbors. And if I'm not friends with you yet, I want to be, because you're making Lancaster better by what you're bringing to Centennial Market. We're trying to make Lancaster better by governance. We don't always agree, as you'll see tonight, but I'd be happy to let this stay pat for last year, how you behaved. I would ask if there's a way to not drive all the way across, great. You have to. And I would like, I don't know who I would work with. It would be Matt, Kyle. I don't know what committee. If someone sets it up and tells me when there's meetings, I would gladly participate so that we can, you know, if we have to make changes for 2026. I am good with keeping the way we had 2024 and 2025. I will say, people just driving out to a picnic table is really unnecessary. Someone should want to drive from School Street, right into the picnic table, and I've seen it too.
Again, this is not, I love the farmer's market. I think it draws a lot of people in. I think it is a good thing for Lancaster. I think the band concerts, I've been attending band concerts since me hired or whatever.
So, yeah.
So, but I also, right now, nobody parked on the grass. I can remember, I believe it was the Rotary Club used to have an auction on that farm. That's what nobody ever did during that auction. They didn't park on the grass. Carried the stuff over to a tent, had an auction. Everyone loved it. It made them a lot of money. Townspeople had it. Somehow, all of a sudden, everyone has to drive on that park. And I'm telling you, by driving on the park on the weekends during the farmer's market and the band concerts has an effect, because now everybody thinks they can drive on the road 7 days a week. I'm not against any of these things that are going on. I think they're great. I think the community thing is great. But we also have to look at what we're encouraging people to do. And not all of them live in Lancaster. Sometimes I've gone out and told people from Vermont, get the hell off the park. Well, so they drive on it during the weekend. We have a problem that is recurring. People do not respect Centennial Park anymore. So we have to figure that out. If we're gonna allow it for 2025, I'm not gonna sit here and say no, but the people who are organizing these events have to start thinking ahead. And I believe, as far as the courthouse, it could be as simple as a call. We're having an event this weekend. Is it all right if we park in the parking lot? Nobody's gonna disagree. Nobody's at the courthouse during the weekend. Now, if you're having an event during the week, they might not tell you can't do it. Sure. During the weekend, nobody parks there. There's 110 parking spaces there. Again, I'm not saying you can't park along the side of the street, carry your product in, set your thing up, and then go find a parking space. Because once again, there's more parking around that park than there ever used to be when we were going to band concerts. Everyone parked along Main Street, still beat their horns, along the thing, and in the school parking lot, which was smaller than what. Nobody's saying what's going on there is not important. What we're saying is people have to start respecting our parks for being parks. Not convenience because I don't want to carry my product over. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't believe that's gonna make people not come to the farmer's market. Well, I've got to carry my product over 50 feet, 100 feet. Sorry, that's just not. We need to start respecting our parks. These events are important to our town. So let's work together and fix the problem. Want to speak on it? Sure.
I know that, I also consider that, over talk about that. Folks on Main Street, businesses on Main Street, I know all of you know this, when you come down on Saturday morning, it's wonderful to have a bustling Main Street. People coming down Main Street, down the market, back and forth. We need to keep the farmers market and from an event standpoint, but also from a local food system standpoint. We have, this is not just an event. We have, farmers such as Bridget who make a livelihood out of selling food. And, we have to support our farmers. So this isn't just an event. It is a work on our farmers, just like the old days. So we have to keep them and we have to support them. And great if I'm hearing from my select board that, it's like you're willing to have it go through as your
As it has in the past, sure.
Great, knowing that it sounds like you're asking the folks that want to do events, including the farmers market, to kind of come together and work with.
Come up with a compromise.
When you guys, it sounds very simple. It sounds like all the infrastructure is so that when you're looking at the go from Main Street, it's to the left. Maybe everybody can be to the left. Sounds like it's easy. But yeah, I just wanted to like really, press upon that. Yes, it's a fun Saturday event, but it's also like this is a huge part of our local food system. And so,
It's economics.
yeah. And it also drives people, downtown. Magna can attest, I can attest, like this supports all of our downtown businesses. And anybody that has gone downtown Saturday between 9 and noon. It's a fun hopping place. It's fun to feel the energy in our town. And yeah, we have to keep our comments.
I don't want to lose such too much. I'm just taking
Yes, go ahead.
So we should realize that, the farmers market way before I was even working in our, like how important is it on the in for example, Jeff Judge, there's no good, there's nothing. The Brits over state ages at least 25, 17 minutes. So if there are other business in Lancaster, people will be driving for half an hour just to spend $100 in Lancaster. Just more. Second, there was no other option for me as a home-based business but the farmers market to start to test is there a need for it, and then maybe compete and grow the business. If I did not have the farmers market, you would not have the Polish people in Canada. That's how important the farmers market is. The ground can have no one. You can think about other varieties of ground. You can think about trees that can handle the child. It's not really that hard, but finding somebody who will put their soul into what they are doing and show up at the farmers market, work overnight, buy very few, 2 little, 3 little people, and do it every single day. Provide something for the community that nobody else does. Nobody wants to put that for actually to bring something that creates the variety, that creates something different than just shop and you know, the land boring thing that like ha. Like there are like three is a problem. Okay, everybody to really becoming something maybe they're not gentlemen, not gender, or because of some other things. But yeah, I think like business is so valuable and so important for the economy and a little bit of economy that makes life and happy and the nothing. It stays really here and stays real. That's how important life is. I just want to ask, who here is willing to spearhead this consortium so that we don't lose sight of this? Okay. You know, I have to find me, Matt, when you pull together, that'll be at the end of the season, I'm assuming.
We could start talking.
Great, thank you. That,
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Can I ask on another subject? Or do you want to stick to this topic at the moment?
Oh, I think we should stick to this topic. Rob?
I have one, I just want to mention how the farmer's market affects my life personally. I like the farmer's market, and all the activities we're talking about now take place over maybe 10 or 12 weeks, 1 day a week. But 6 days a week, I have to risk crossing Main Street because the crosswalk at the post office is now gone. That's gone because the state said, if you want 2 crosswalks, you have to have flashing lights and an ugly infrastructure. We all thought that wasn't a good idea. However, somebody in town management chose to have the crosswalk over by the park, library, than where the post office. So every day of the week, post office is open. I have to risk my life going across the road. And so that's a problem that can easily be fixed. But I just want to point out that 12 weeks, I'm 52, for 1 day a week, something has changed to affect me every day. And so, yeah, I know we have competition because that's a state highway and it's not our fault. But
Just a correction on that. One of the reasons why driving had to be that one by the park is because they want all the crosswalks to end at a entrance to another sidewalk. Where it crosses by the post office, it hit at the end of the sidewalk, so they didn't want to allow that one. The
streets are cattywampus.
kind of, yes, talk to your state representative and say, hey, let us put frickin' the crosswalk back on Main Street that we need to have. 'Cause I agree with you. I often have to cross, you have to go to the bank and to go to the post office. And that is probably one of the busiest crosswalks we have.
I will try to reach out to DOT also and see what we can do.
everybody jaywalks, you know.
He's someone that will find bunker and me.
That's gonna be put back. The road was repaved, then we got the big storm, so
Maybe I'm thinking out of that.
no, that'll.
All right,
Probably next
so,
week.
so does that conclude the portion? All right. So,
Next up is a review of minutes from March 17th, 2025. This was the last meeting that Leon was present at, and we've been holding off.
But I don't think who were here at that.
no, it's only you.
Yeah.
That's, so that's right. I'll make a motion, you know, we're accepting the minutes, go to.
Awesome, awesome.
Almost there.
Next up is 21st, 2025, select meeting minutes.
Yes.
Here's some.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda. Select them minutes.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Well, so
Yeah.
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 Next
We got
up
very-
is,
This minute was gonna get back.
next up is the sign various paperwork. I have a warden services bill.
It's on fireworks. It seems like it's a little bit.
I also have a permit to use or explode fireworks at 24 Mechanic Street on July 4th. New business number one is bid openings. The town of Lancaster, published, bids for, the website, NHMA, different places, pardon?
They ran in the
California, yes, and dedicated a special webpage to it. This evening we have bid openings for stone. We have 2 bids right now.
I'm good. I'll recuse myself.
Does the board mind if I open these?
No, you can go ahead.
First up is, VEI, ready? Sealed bid stone, this was 11.
So we want to explain what we're doing.
Yes, we requested, samples from the vendors. It was part of the bid process, so it's a 6-inch angular rock for riprap and ditches. BEI's price per ton is $13.05. Number 1. Four. So number 1 did not submit a sample, unfortunately, so disqualified.
One of the bidders didn't submit, one of the 2 bidders did not submit the sample. So is that what you just said?
That's what I'm saying. Yep, we've received 2 samples. This is number 2, so we've received 4 and 11. 11 is BEI. And unfortunately, we don't have number 2 for sample either. Number 4, which is on the site closest to me, is from AB Excavating. Price per ton is $14.
Or, you know, here is 13 homes.
6-inch glass rock, it's angular, it's pretty much standard.
Mhm. So what is it you look for?
Consistency, it's clean, it's all same.
What's the difference between these two?
The rocks.
So,
It's not dirty, it's not round rock, it's actually what we asked for.
And the.
Yeah.
Like I said, similar size,
mm,
biggest and.
There's no dirt, it's not full of little rock, it's not round rock, what we asked.
okay,
It's very consistent.
they're consistent. Each, not with each other, but each of them individual, I mean, this one's consistent.
Individually
And that
and
was-
together.
Well, it's not like you mix and match.
Does anybody want? I'm gonna move it out of the way, if they don't.
So I thought we only got one sample.
Yeah. 2 samples of stone out of 4 bidders, 2 bidders out of 4, not 4 bidders, 2, not the mix, Flutie and Carroll.
But was it clearly specified that samples needed to be?
Yeah, 5-gallon sample in an unlabeled bucket and a bid and sealed envelope must be submitted to.
Given what we're looking at here. And having Shane recuse himself. The, entertain a motion to accept the Getty Enterprises bid at $13.05. Versus the $14.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Next up is gravel at number 5.
How many been through yet?
2.
Fine.
Okay, this is gravel. This is gravel. And we got two bids and 2 samples.
2 bids, 2 samples. Number 5 is from AB Excavating at a price per ton picked up of $9.50.
Picked up, I mean.
Yes. Price per ton. Number 10 is Beat. On a price per ton of $9.65.
What,
$9.65.
965?
Is that a picked up price? Yeah.
And I've seen some email that we're gonna have someone check it or test it.
Yeah, so testing takes a while in order to get that pushed through. If you, as part of the bid conditions, the bid carved out language that was specific to the town of Lancaster reserves the right to cancel the bid award for the following, but not limited to inferior product, lack of product, poor billing, and non-disclosure. So if you wish to award based on testing,
And what, Tim, can you tell us what we're looking at on this?
It's your express route.
Yeah. Talk to us for 5 years old.
Which one is this?
number 5,
Yeah. Number 5. And this is for, when you don't have paper routes, you don't have paper routes, right? Or-
Which one's number 10?
yeah,
Yeah.
So, once again, given current makeup of the board because of this, entertain a motion to,
Yep, I'll make a motion to award to AB at $9.50 a ton.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, I speak from that. Wouldn't you do that contingent upon being passing state spec?
Well, that is part of the bid process, that if for some reason it doesn't come out, the one where we want, we can't cancel the bid and going together.
It's part of the terms for the. Next up is paving. We have received 4 bids.
So I can come back now.
You're back. Welcome on back.
Not saying, be sure you want to.
Yeah,
First bid is from J. Hutchins Incorporated for Bunker Hill Depot, High Street, Railroad Street, Stone Street for $286,318.15.
Doing that truck cruise.
Back truck 0 bids. Okay, then.
Here's what was taken on.
Second bid is from Pike Industries for Depot Street, Railroad Street, High Street, Stone Street, Bunker Hill. $501,922.
Sidewalks and streets. Yeah. Was that just streets?
that's everything. Sidewalk, streets.
Because Hutchins elected not to bid on the sidewalks, just so this is known that everybody had the option to bid on the sidewalks separate. So that's known.
So in order to, do this bid, no,
Well, I asked, I remember, if you guys remember, I asked, make sure you did the roads as one, correct? And the sidewalks, a separate.
Was it writing this?
Right, so you just essentially asked roads, right?
But we could take
And
out the
yes,
sidewalks.
and the reason being for that is if we didn't have enough money, we should utilize money we had and save.
which is, that makes perfect sense.
But I just wanted to make sure that
I
that's
just want to
known.
make sure we're comparing apples to apples, you know?
Yes, and I think he broke it down, like he said, right?
The sidewalks are spelled out in here, so I don't know. Yeah, it looks like it could be.
Right. Correct.
The third bid is from Blacktop. There's 2 bids, one for sidewalk and one for street paving. Sidewalk bid came in at $82,717.20. And the street paving came in at High Street Railroad Depot, Bunker Hill, Stone.
Blacktop, 394.
Sidewalk, yeah, so. Yeah. Sidewalk.
Yeah. Not too much longer. Oh, so we'd have to take that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 14.5, yeah.
So that's what he brings, like,
Take out 15. Yeah.
Everything but the streets.
8.
Well, if you got a number on just,
Street has the acres and the swales.
Okay, so yeah,
Right.
that's the sidewalk.
That, yeah, that was a separate.
Right, on the sidewalks.
You know, just take this up.
34.
Take out, there's 5 streets, is that right?
Sidewalk.
You guys that?
Yeah.
Don't everyone do that? Show you this, right? Can I? No, we should cut off. Maybe deduct 79,500.
Yeah.
$21,500. Someone want to check that? It's fine here. Do
Yes, John.
you want to make sure I did this right?
Sure.
Just sort of what it's all about. It, I think was it sidewalk and sidewalks, right?
Yeah, on the side. I don't need that, check my calculator. Yeah. Well, that's what she pulled out, she came up with, 421 by top. Makes sense. Yeah. Circle it.
Oh, no. So, yeah, so that was a 79,500.
Mhm.
So it looks, those Hutchinson's,
And then, there's one more,
okay,
which is central paving, central asphalt paving in Jefferson. Roads came in at $278,000, $451,000. Sidewalks came in at $90,197.
Streets and sidewalks.
Yeah.
five, so 79,500. Central is now.
Yeah. Given the breakdown, I think that the clear point is, going separate. Is, I would, on motion to.
Well, but do we have enough money for both? Because the purpose of breaking it out was.
Right.
What is your,
Have enough.
I mean, have 25,000 sidewalks, but we was also supposed to have, police fund, right, 40,000.
Which we got.
Right.
so what is your total paving budget?
The paving budget, we asked for 330, I think.
So, get enough to do the streets, and then we got enough to do a few. Oh,
330 plus the 25 in the sidewalks. In the sidewalks.
oh, with the sun, so you got three.
We got.
Okay, 300.
our two lowest bids separately.
Yeah.
I guess the bidders are all sitting here, or we thought.
There's two. Blacktop and Pike Insurance.
Be willing to do the sidewalks versus doing streets and sidewalks, or
That's a question for these guys, right? Yeah. That's a question for you guys. I don't know if you caught it.
Yeah. Yes, so you're asking,
so if you win the bid for the sidewalks and you're willing to do just the sidewalks versus doing both,
it was kind of, it was bid with that understanding.
okay. So if we basically Amy and
That right. The two, okay, so the lowest bid on the loan. What's on?
Yeah.
Is, Blacktop at 255. And then Central at 278.
yeah, but no, in the sidewalk, which is
And then the sidewalks for, sidewalks pipe is 79.5. And then Blacktop sidewalks is 82. Central sidewalks is 91. We don't have a Hutchins sidewalk. Separated that.
yeah. I'm just trying to figure out again that one, but.
Exactly.
Here,
Oh. She is.
79.5.
Right.
It's what? And I don't need to change it. No.
Both together on the lowest is 334, 894. And we have 355 in the budget. So given that information, I would move that we award the sidewalk bid of 79,500 to
I'll second that motion.
No, all in favor? Aye. Yeah, those
And the roads.
roads, streets, and blacktop. I would make a motion that we award the bid for the streets to blacktop at 255, 294, 80.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Here we go. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.
Next up, bid opening for the police cruiser. We received one, bid.
Want me to stop by and get me some?
Let's look at it.
Okay.
Sign it, I can scan it to you.
Mhm.
Want me to sign it and scan it to you, John?
You can, yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Cruiser had one bid, you said?
Cruiser had one bid.
What's the minimum?
The minimum, the minimum was $2,000 and the bid is for $110.
Okay.
That's not it.
What is the cruiser? It's an expedition. You know, look at,
I mean, that doesn't even come close to meeting our minimum. I would move that we table the cruiser bid until the next blacktop meeting.
second that. Okay. Did I do that? Okay.
I guess,
Go ahead, you would, or put it out to bid again?
No, we're tabling it.
Okay. $110. I'm just repeating that.
I mean, just be perfectly honest, I can buy it for $110 and sell a catalytic converter for $3,000.
New business, other business. This evening I'm looking to you, for an update on Broadway Street. I'm looking for a motion to authorize me to request a crossing agreement for state-owned railroad line.
But I will second that motion for the.
Okay.
The question is, so they're gonna, we require 2 flaggers on Broadway Street.
I believe we have to work within their parameters. Yes.
I believe the stupidity of it. Put it up front, on point one.
Yeah.
We'll tell them how to refuse, really. And we need to put 2 flaggers up so we can do some vital infrastructure repair. It's just ridiculous.
I thought they were joking when I heard that. No, you got that.
They didn't have 2 flaggers when they was running the crushed stone back.
The whole time they're working in that area, they have to have 2 flaggers. Yeah, on where the railroad line.
Unless you're the railroad.
Right.
Then they put the railroad plow up with no lights or anything in middle of the night. Shouldn't say anymore. So,
Don't believe it.
all right, all in favor? Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much. Old business, it's ongoing. Storm update. We did submit a project for Sevens Hill and Old East Road for $6,697.62. That's as much as we've had finished to 100%. So now that we have some next steps for gravel, we can start to get this moving again. I have routine meetings every Thursday with different folks. Select board members reports.
I have nothing to know.
So it's like I have a new committee I'm gonna work on.
Yes, thank you very much for joining me.
I'm glad to do it.
Just try to be back in the room.
You have a back up, noise?
Nobody did.
Nobody.
Move it. Well, you're gonna put that on your table. Oh, yeah.
We'll discuss it at the next meeting.
Entertain bids to Western Five on the map?
I have,
We'll talk about it.
yeah,
Like that. $2,000, huh?
no, yeah. We can't do that, we got.
Can we do it? We got, we're going to redo it.
Yeah.
Put it through its procedure.
All right, next up is my report. We heard from Ferry Normando, and they're working on the fountain's last piece and are lettering it. They are having weekly meetings with the vendor to help keep the fountain moving along. We're still looking forward to installation, which Tim Brown and Tim Billady are both helping with, so thank you in advance. Students from Lancaster Elementary School were thankful for the help the police department extended to them for their bike to school event to celebrate Earth Day. They brought a thank you card to show their gratitude, and we were able to use our speed trailer for the first time. Stood on both ends. We received an update from our council regarding the PSNH case. DTC wrapped up 11 days of trial in this matter involving tax years 2017 through 2023. And it went as well for our side in court as they could have hoped for, and they hope to have a decision from the court before the end of the year. I received an email from Melissa Blood from HED asking to request the town of Lancaster's support in applying for a community development block grant to fund McKinney rehabilitation work up in the Kean, which these grants are administered through the municipality, so we would act as the applicant on their behalf. So I'm hoping that you guys are all in agreement that it's before perfect. I did receive 2 welfare applications in the past couple of weeks for $1,420.77. And, we posted 2 positions. One was for the finance director position and another for a part-time transfer station employee to fill a medical absence. And that's it for mine.
But as far as the welfare budget, how are we looking at that at this point in the year?
Tracking its last year's.
Thank you.
I want to say the speed trailer, you have some data that you're collecting from it that maybe, I don't know if Shane and Leon know that.
Yes, so there's like, yeah, so the speed trailer, for the first year that we've had the speed trailer, it has a program to say how fast folks are going and the ability to snap pictures.
Oh,
So, we're utilizing that aspect, but we are pulling together as far as what the average rate of speed is and, able to look at the outliers for that. So this functionality is in place for the first year that we have the unit. Chief has been, using it in different areas throughout town, making sure that it stays fresh. And we also thank highway departments. We've been cross-trained, to use the tool, and we really thank the voters for this. Continue.
I'm excited that this information free to us for the first year.
It is taking pictures of me every day.
Without a doubt.
Like some,
Next up is the information. There's a planning board meeting notice for May 14th, 2025 at 6:30 PM. There is a land use permit for 131 Pleasant Valley Road. There's a land use permit at 40 Fulton Park. A land use permit at 246 Seven Hills Road. Land use permit at 180 Portland Street. A land use permit at 49 McGarry Hill Road. A land use permit at 34 Acorn Hill Road. 131 Elm Street. 26 Mechanic Street. 480 North Road and 116 Lost Mason Road. So Robin has been very busy, as you see. That's it for information in your book. Next up is public comment.
Ellen, well, with the gravel business be yearly on the bids, as the winter season is, it's certainly getting points, it's going to have to be. So you're gonna ring at the anniversary of this and not jumping into, but we may change it, whatever.
It should probably be early in the season.
Should be early in the season, so yeah, thank you for going. The second thing, and Tim may, correct me on this, but we town of Lancaster limit is only 16 stone and 3/4 inch gravel. This is everything we use 1.5 rock.
we haven't used 1.5 inch crushed stone in a long time.
No, 3/4 stone.
3/4 stone, we used, yes.
Yeah, so now you have a bid on 3/4 stone, so where are we gonna go buy it? We're going to have to, see, we just did look big for FEMA,
Right.
we didn't do the general, okay, so you're gonna go in. We gotta have another, go back and do it. Yeah, and I'm saying, you feel, anything that they would have, and they can grab, and they don't have, and put 1.5 in that, in case they need something. So, I guess my question is, if they need that material between now and the time you bid it out, where are they gonna go get it?
We have some.
So maybe we should address that. Next. In the epping flood.
How much do you have?
Certainly have some on hand. How long do you think that will last? Well, given, you know.
For what I have to do
no
this summer, I
unusual
probably have
circumstance.
enough on hand to do what I got.
Not we have another, lose a lot some kind of that.
Which is. Yeah, so going forward, to answer your question, probably hasn't been. Probably, right, this is everything, yeah, I mean, he says he didn't, they used to have someone. Where I thought of a bucket full of it on the town back on the other day.
We have
We have
some
it on
from
hand.
previous years, Alan, we have a pile.
Yeah.
You didn't go
There was there, we have 3/2, we have 1.5 inch, we have bankroom, we have riprap, we have one sand, we have a little bit of.
I'm sorry, I'm good to, I thought you said.
We don't usually use it, no. I've been putting 3/4 in the mud holes, which we mainly use it for, because then when they grade the road, trying to know the snow.
I have reports with 3 different hats on. First one is as your airport commissioner, we want to report, things are developing a pace for the air show the last weekend of June. There will be stunt pilots. There will be model airplane demonstrations. There will be a candy drop out of the helicopter. Lots of fun and big plans. Will happen during the day on Saturday and during the day on Sunday. And the Whitefield Lions may cook pancakes Sunday morning. So look forward to that. It's a good chance to see how the airport can work for you. Okay. My second hat is as your commissioner on the Connecticut River Joint Commission. Recently, there is a permit has come, or a permit information application has come by concerning Roundup spraying for knotweed. And it exposes activities all the way from Pittsburgh down through Lancaster. Now, we have some knotweed experts in the room who I have consulted. And essentially, there will be spraying around some waterways and areas that may or may not concern people. The general consensus is that knotweed is terrible next to a waterway because eventually it can cause erosion and problems. And so it's devil in the deep blue sea. You want to see Roundup sprayed, but it disappears pretty quickly, or do you want to have knotweed? One of the areas that's proposed is around the pond at Middletown Community Camp. And there's quite a bit of proposed spraying out east, not at the water supply, but in a couple of other places around there. So I will,
At the pond at community camp, it's really by the house.
no,
Pond?
the diagram shows spraying off around the pond. I could be wrong.
I don't even know where the pond is, so.
In the camp?
All it is,
At the community camp?
correct.
Well, 60 acres there.
The thing is, if don't know where it is, we're not spraying there.
Well,
Well,
it's right down there, and it's on the map. I'm just telling you. So I will see to it that
I'll
the commission has that information,
Thank you.
and anyone else who's interested in it. I know.
Yeah. Okay, right. Well, they have to go.
Well, typically Burns maple production. And it's the sheriff, because Scott Burns is the chair of the Whitefield Lions. And it has been, it was $8 a plate, you keep it 10 and you got a $2 bottle of syrup back. I don't know what we'll do this year. So that was my Connecticut River Commission hat. Talked about my other hat, and the third hat is, and Mr. Hosby here reminds me, that Amateur Radio International Field Day is also the last weekend of June. That's 24 hours trying to do all sorts of make contacts and act silly on the radio and act seriously, because this is how go to the country, set up, and make sure that they can operate under less than ideal conditions, which is handy in an emergency. So that may take place at the air show, and I'm applying for Federal Aviation Administration right now. They want to know how tall the antenna near the runway. Or it will take place at the fairgrounds, as it has in the parking lot across from the fairgrounds, has for many years. So those are the 3 activities that I know about that I wanted to report. Any questions? I'll work it in. How many heads do you have? How many hats? How many heads? Well, that's kind of a personal question, and I'm not. Well, no.
Anybody else? Seeing none? I get a motion. Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
Oh,